Hey gang, Kris Krohn here, and today I'm talking about how you secure the best financing. If you're a subscriber to this channel and you're joining me on real estate and the wonderful world of wealth creation, then you know that financing and credit is something that can be important, whether it's yours or not. So check it out. Right out of the gate, there's two things that you need to understand. In life, you can get what you want when credit is required by using your own or by using other people. I rent other people's credit on a very, very frequent basis because your personal credit will only take you so far. Now, you do need to understand that some people don't have a great financial situation, and because of that, maybe they've already ruined their credit or they've had some hiccups and glitches. And to be honest, it can take 6 months or a year for some people to fix, or if you're working with some experts, they can sometimes do it in 90 days. But that can cost you $500, $1,000, $2,000. And so this is the number one problem that I find that I just want to address out the gate. If you have a credit glitch or a credit problem, it's really easy to do nothing. And you're just going to wait and hope that time heals. The reality is that sometimes it will, but often it won't. I want to encourage you to actually get your credit scenario cleaned up and fixed right now. Because you might not even know what you're going to use it for. You don't even know what the deal is going to be, but I'm just telling you, you're going to want your credit to be in good shape for when the deal comes along, and you need to be able to move fast. Now, with that being said, let's just talk about when you're using your credit and then what do you do when you're not? Because by the way, never allow your lack of credit to keep you from taking action in your life. And I'm especially talking to you young people or you old people that are either saying, I'm too young or I'm too old, I've missed the boat, and I'm just saying that's just bull crap. That's a lie. I don't believe any of that garbage. What do you need if you're going to use your credit? Generally, this is what banks are looking for. Number one, they want to see that you have at least 2 working years in the same industry. Not necessarily the same job, but they don't want to see large gaps in employment. You know, they usually don't want to see a gap longer than, 3 months because you could lose one job and get another job. And as long as it's a reasonable gap, they'll be okay. You need to be at least 2 years in the same industry. So I could have sold cars from one place and then sold cars at a different place. I'm in the same industry. By the way, tiny little bit of knowledge is that if you're graduating from college in a degree and then you get your very first job, they will count your last 4 years or last 2 years of college as your 2 years in the industry. So it means that you can kind of get rolling right out of the gate in something new like that. Okay. Now, so you want to have 2 years. Number two, you need to work on your credit score. You need to have at least 2 or 3 credit cards. You got to use them responsibly. Put stuff on them, pay it off, never carry more than a 30% balance. What does that mean? I'll break it down. If I have a credit card that has a $1,000 limit, then in general, as I'm using that card, I should never keep a balance greater than $300 on it, which means at the end of the month, if I have an $800 balance, I should pay $500, so it drops it back to $300, or better yet, just have it paid off. Frankly, the purpose of those credit cards is to help you show banks that you're credit worthy. So please do not get in the trap of using a credit card for the sake of building credit and then getting trapped in buying yourself some stuff that you can't afford. And so at a later date, you're just going to hope that blah, 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 and that it'll all work out. Don't do that. Keep it paid off, use them responsibly. They're going to want to see 2-year credit history. Some banks will want 2 credit card lines of credit, some will want 3. So the advice that I'm giving today is 2 years in the same industry, and then number 2 is make sure that you actually have 3 credit cards that you're just using responsibly. If you do that, banks are going to like what they're going to see. Now, the last thing that you need to know is whether you're an entrepreneur or you work for somebody else. In other words, you have W-2 income or you have K-1 income. Now, if you have a job and work for someone, every year they're going to issue you a W-2. That's what you're going to file on your taxes if you live in America, and they'll basically say, oh, your company that paid you this money is reporting they pay this money. Why do they report you? Because if they didn't, they'd have to report that they made the money and kept it and give it to you, and they'd have to pay tax on it. So they're saying, dude, that's your tax liability. But if you're self-employed or a contractor, you're going to basically file a K-1. It's the equivalent of W-2. You're basically saying, this is how much money I made in my business this year. Just so you know, in the world of banking, W-2 and working for someone else, that's really easy stuff to prove with banks. But if you are self-employed, they want to see 2 years of tax returns. And they're going to average out those 2 years, and they want the second year to look better than the first year, or at least the same, but not declining. So friends, that's what it takes if you want to be able to use your credit to qualify, whether it's for a car, home, or anything business. The second workaround, though, that I want to give you that I use all the time is, what do you do when your credit gets maxed? Okay, what do I mean by maxed credit? Well, banks, what they're doing is they use credit scores And your credit report basically is a way to evaluate risk. How risky are you? Like if you look at my credit report, you'll see that I've got this debt and that debt and this debt and that debt, and banks will say, well, Kris, looking at all that debt, that's a certain level of risk. Now we look at your income and we say, you got it covered, that's awesome. But at some point, the banks aren't going to be generous and keep giving me options for more and more real estate. At some point, they're gonna cut me off and just say, hey, you know, you've hit your 10 home limit, and you know, now you've eliminated 90% of banks because they typically don't wanna do any kind of lending or portfolio lending more than that. At some point, you're gonna hit the wall. You might hit the wall right out of the gate, you might be at the wall, or it might take you a while to hit the wall. What do you do when you hit the wall? Or even before you hit the wall, like I do, I rent someone's credit. If I'm doing a real estate transaction, for example, and I have a partner bringing money to the table to buy it, and let's say they can't use their credit, and I'm the one that's gonna make the whole deal happen because I'm partnering with them, I might bring in someone else as a credit partner and say, hey, we'll give you a couple grand up front, we'll give you 5% of the profits when the deal sells, and all we're gonna do is rent your credit. You're gonna get paid for using your credit. Now, number one, is this legal? Yes, if you have the right entity structure and setup, this is totally legal. One of you is gonna ask that question. And basically, so I just bought 3 homes, used someone else's credit to do it. I just picked up 2 more partners. We're buying 2 homes with each of them in the next 6 months, and one of the 2 needs a credit partner. I've already lined it up. It's super easy to find. I've got some videos that talk about how to do that, but if I were to give you just a real quick little bonus, I would say, if you know the numbers of the deal and you know what you stand to gain, ask yourself, what are you willing to give up for someone else to come into the deal and basically use their good faith credit? If you go out into social media or into some of the investment circles or the RIAs, you can go out there and basically say, hey, I got this deal, here are the numbers. I'm looking at renting somebody's credit, bringing on a credit partner. You don't have to bring any money to the table, but you have to look good to the bank and ... And if that looks good, then basically, here's what I'm willing to give you for bringing your credit to the table. And friends, that's the whole deal here on financing. I hope this was useful for you. Hey, thanks so much for watching today's video and for taking a walk in the park. I hope some of this nature brought some of the calming influence into your life that I know it certainly does for me. If you enjoy this, make sure that you subscribe. And if you're ready to get cranking on some real estate investments, I got news for you. You can join me, the link below on my website, and I'll actually share with you what some of my deals are, how to get involved with my real estate investing community, and whether you got credit or especially if you got no credit, I'll show you how to do no money down and no credit deals, and it's gonna be awesome. We're gonna have a walk in the park, we're gonna make great money, and it's gonna be awesome. See you there.